Hello, all you tiny little people out there who live within the confines of my computer. My name is Finn, and welcome back to Finn Talks About Stuff that Finn likes. I don't have a name for these. I don't actually know what I'm calling this video, for the sake of it. Having people click on it, I don't know what to call it. But I'll figure that out later. Now I'll just say what we're doing. Today I'm going to be talking about my 10 favorite superheroes from comics. I have specified hero. I will not be using villains. I will not be using anti-heroes. I will not be using people that run that line between. Very much specifically going with the good guys. I also have set a rule where if I use a name for one character, for example, Wolverine, right? Say I talk about Logan, I can no longer include Laura in the list. Or if I say Batman and I go with Dick Grayson, can't use Bruce, that sort of thing. Just to give it a little bit of a rule, that way I like Spider-Man a lot, and if I don't set that rule, there's gonna be Peter, Miles, Miguel, Ben, just a shitload of spider people. So now that we've got that all out of the way, let's get into the list. I'm going to express things that I like about the characters, and I'm just going to have to talk about whatever the fuck it is I want to talk about with them. Because it's my video and I can do what I want. Yeah. To start the list off, I was thinking about which characters mean a lot to me. I was thinking about what characters mean a lot influence-wise and based on, like, how important they are to making the rest of the characters on this list show up. Things like that. And I decided that I was going to use my enjoyment as the biggest criteria and then let anything else be secondary or tertiary towards the decision. And at 10, we have Superman, specifically Clark Kent, Kal-El. Supes is like the go-to, you know, he's the superhero. He has been around for so many years. He has had the most movies out of, I believe, any comic character. He's the superhero. He has all of the powers. He has all of the positives happen to him. He is such a cultural icon, not only with comics, but with toys, but with novels, but with movies, but with animated shows, with live action shows. Now he's had, I think, 2. Superman is like the comic character. He is, I'd say he's no longer like the face of DC. I would think that that's more so Batman's territory at this point. But Superman is still like the character. I mean, he's like the blueprint of a hero, right? I mean, he transcends the limitations that a lot of comic characters are stuck with. I mean, there are references to Superman in every comic that, like, happens, whether intentional or not. Or, excuse me. Or if you take it more to, like, ground level, there's a lot of characters that we love from comics that just wouldn't exist in the scenario that Superman was not there. Rather that be because of Detective Comics and what they got out of Superman in the beginning and what he's grown into, and people have had the ability to grow alongside him, or rather that just be the cultural influence of how big that got. I mean, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man has a reference to 2 references to Superman in it. I mean, there's a million little references to Superman throughout DC media, obviously, but also through stuff with Image Comics, stuff with Marvel Comics, stuff that isn't comic booky at all. Superman is the blueprint and Superman is impactful. I personally enjoy the character. I know there's a rough back and forth discourse. Excuse me. I know there's this back and forth sort of discourse about if Clark is an interesting character or not. And there are the people that are very much on the side of he's interesting because he's perfect. There are people who are more towards he's interesting because he's this big manly man. There are people who are a little bit more towards like the other side, and it's, well, he's not that interesting because he doesn't have too many woes, he's perfect, he doesn't have like negatives to his power set, da, 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 da. And I get that. But I personally really enjoy the character. I really enjoy stories with this character. I think my favorite is Superman Smashes the Klan. I think that book is really good, but it's not the one that everybody else goes to. A lot of people go to All-Star by Grant Morrison, who is a tremendous writer. Superman for All Seasons is really good. Personally, I really liked the recent Superman movie. But that leads to a whole nother discourse that I don't want to talk about today. But Superman is a character who is interesting not because he's perfect, to me. He's interesting because he lacks the ability, with all of his super abilities, with all of his powers and his strengths and his incredible mind and his kindness and his physical strength and his speed and his reaction time and his fucking heat vision and all this stuff. The thing that makes him interesting isn't any of that. It's the fact that he doesn't want to be that. It's the fact that it matters so much to him to be human. It matters so much to be like everybody else. The parts of him that are interesting are that with all of those powers comes a loneliness. With all of that perfection comes a lack of ability to connect with people. And that's where all of the genuinely enjoyable stuff about Superman comes in. Because Superman's life isn't perfect in the sense that nothing goes wrong. It's perfect in the sense that nothing goes wrong on our scale of wrongness. When Superman needs to walk the dog, he doesn't take it out to the park. He walks it around the solar system. It's that sort of thing. It's taking a normal thing and amplifying it to fit this character, and I think people do that really well. And that's why he's my number 10. Yeah. Next up, we're going to talk about number 9, who is somebody who, as a child, I didn't like. And as I got older, I started liking more, and that's Captain America. Because when I was younger, I kind of just didn't like him. He felt, to me as a child, this isn't my current opinions of him, but it felt like he was very much only used for propaganda, which was just super boring, and I felt like I didn't enjoy the stories that were told with the character. But that changed. I'd say I was probably about 16 when that changed, because I went back and I rewatched the MCU Captain America trilogy. And I loved it. Because, maybe it was 2017, I don't remember. Whenever Civil War came out, I watched it and I was like, oh, this is good. And then I rewatched the first two and I realized that I loved it. And I realized that was my favorite set of MCU films. Because I've been pretty negative towards the MCU myself. I don't hate it. I like a lot of parts of it. I think Endgame and Infinity War is like one of the greatest like events in to like media history. But when it comes down to it, I think the MCU Captain America trilogy is like my bread and butter with that huge series. I just love them, and because of that, I went on a deep dive. And then since then, I've just kind of loved that character. I've loved so much. I specified Steve Rogers. I want to express that I like Sam as Captain America. I think, excuse me, I think Sam Wilson's suit, especially in the comics, is leagues better than Steve's. I want to point out that I like Sam. And there's also been other people to be Captain America. I don't like many of them. I pretty much just like Steve and Sam. But Steve is the one that I'm going with because he's the one that I kind of have like this connection with. A lot of people point towards Cap being like a Boy Scout, similar to Superman, but he's really not. He's kind of been... He's killed a couple people, like a lot of people, because he's a wartime hero. He's said and done some shit that's kind of fucked. And if you're... I like the X-Men. If you read X-Men comics, you get the worst parts of Captain America. But I love Cap. I like stories best whenever they use his age and where he's from and whatnot to build the story up, rather than to limit it. Which I think is why I like those MCU movies so much. I think that's why I like Earth's Mightiest Heroes so much. If you haven't seen Earth's Mightiest Heroes, watch it. It is the best, just the best way to inject yourself with the Avengers. I love stories about Cap that are written either using those things or finding ways around using them. I think it's really interesting seeing the Man Out of Time parts of it. I really, really, really enjoy a lot of his villains. A lot of people really only point to Red Skull, maybe Winter Soldier. I like Arnim Zola a lot. I like Baron Zemo a shitload. I think MCU Zemo is like top 5 MCU villains for me. I love him. I think he's really good in Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and then in comics, I mean, can't go wrong. Well, you can. Don't keep that. Ooh, you can go wrong. But for the most part, I love Cap. His Rogue Gallery. There's more, but like the ones that really hit to me are Winter Soldier and Zemo. There is more. I just prefer those two. And also, you can have him go up against other people's villains without it feeling forced. Another thing that I really love about Cap is he didn't wait until he got huge and buff and powerful to start doing good. There's a really good panel. I can't remember what book from. And it's shrimpy little Steve and a Nazi's holding a gun to his face. And he's basically like egging the guy on and saying, like, go ahead, do it. Show all of these men how terrified you are of just my words. It's great. And that's the stuff that's really good about that character is, yes, he has these super abilities, and he's big and he's strong, and he's like a quote-unquote perfect soldier, which he proves to not be. And that's part of what's so interesting. But he's interesting because he didn't wait to get all of that to be a good guy, to do the right thing, to help people. And just one of, if not my favorite rivalries in anything ever is him and Bucky as like Winter Soldier. I think that's perfect. God, I love that. So good. So good. So good. Number 8, The Thing. Benjamin Grimm is one of just the greatest characters in comics. Personally, I like to think of him as the most Jack Kirby character that exists, mostly because he's supposed to be. But I love Ben Grimm. He's great. I think the tragedy behind his story is so much more impactful than so many others, because a lot of times, when you introduce a character that has something that is quote-unquote destroying their lives, right? And it's a comic book or whatever, typically it's that person's fault. It is Spider-Man's fault that Uncle Ben dies. It is... what's another good example? Bruce Banner becomes the Hulk because of his own fuck-up. Like, that's, like, kind of a continuous thing, right? that's sort of where things take it with superheroes. Is this person fucked up, therefore bad things happen to them, or therefore they get this curse, right? And with Ben, that's not correct. He was doing the right thing with his like family. He was doing the right thing scientifically, the right thing socially, the right thing down to details. He was doing the right thing. He did nothing wrong. And he becomes this big monster made of rocks that scares people away. And we get to see on page, on TV screen, on the big screen, we get to see how that affects his life, how that affects his love life, how that affects his relationships with his friends, with his family. We get to see what happens to this man when all these things happen and come crashing down around him, and they're not his fault. We get to see how much baggage there is, how much trauma there is. We get to see what the reaction is. And I'm trying to think of the words here because I don't want to sound rude. I have always treated... What on earth? Okay. I have always treated Ben reacting the way he does and people reacting the way they do to how he looks, to the reaction to people who get like severe burn marks. And that's not out of a way of trying to be rude to anybody who does have like scarring or anything like that. In no way, shape, or form. I'm not trying to be rude or disrespectful or offensive or oppressive or anything else. But I think there is some type of correlation there. And maybe it's not as narrow as what I'm saying. Maybe it's a more broad thing and it's supposed to mean more overall. But I've always considered it to be something similar to that, where a bad thing happens, you now look different, and people look at you differently because of it. And that's sort of what Ben goes through. And we've seen that in movies, we've seen that in, I forget which cartoon we see that in, but I know we've seen it in that. And then we see it a lot in comics, where it is a very big deal for the character. And I love it. He is such a well-done tragic character. A lot of tragic characters, it almost feels as if they're gunning to just keep making things worse. But with Ben, a lot of times what happens is, towards the beginning of his story, it sucks, right? Like, there's bad, there's negative, there's hate, there's fear. But then as time passes, not only does he grow to be okay with it, but the people around him still love him. Sometimes more. And that's what's so beautiful about him. Also getting to see... Because a lot of media, especially in the U.S., depicts, like, Christianity as, like, that's the religion, right? For lack of a better term. That's the one that's in media. Seeing a character come out and just be openly Jewish is really cool. Shout out to Superman for being a Jew, by the way. But Ben Grimm being Jewish, it's not typically important to his... It's important to his character and who he is, but not too important to his baseline story to be, like, shoehorned in or feel forced. But Ben's great. I adore that character. I adore everything around him. He's part of one of, if not the greatest teams, and one of, if not the greatest families in not only comics, but media, period. He's in one of the most important families in media history. I love him. I love them. But Ben's relationships are what's so important to him. One of my favorite, it's been shown a million times all over the internet, but one of my favorite comic panels ever, not even just like him specifically, just period, one of my favorites is him hitting the Hulk. Well, he's technically hitting Hulk and Thor, but like he's just bludgeoning Hulk. And Hulk's not fighting back because Johnny just passed away, Human Torch, and Ben is getting all his frustrations out by hitting on Hulk and Thor, and we get to see Thor shed a tear. Hulk, like, holds Ben for a minute. It is some gross but beautiful stuff. I love me some Ben Grimm. Love me Ben Grimm. Me, love that fella. Love him. Hello. Next up, number 7 is The Wasp, Janet Van Dyne. I love her. Lord, she deserves being more stuff. Oh my god. Okay. I love her. She's great. I mean, I have her over small timers, Superman, Captain America. Those are 2 people that are on most people's Mount Rushmore. I love them. And I would say both of those guys are probably on my Mount Rushmore. But I love The Wasp. I love Janet. She's great. Spoiler, her husband is not on this list. I like her way more than him. That's not a diss on him. It's a point to her being great. I was so disappointed when the MCU just kind of didn't do it. They just didn't do those. Janet and Hank just weren't their characters. But I love Janet. She's such an important and integral piece of Marvel Comics. She's so important to the Avengers. Dear Lord, why is she never on that team anymore? What's the last time in big media she was it? I think it might have been Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Go watch Earth's Mightiest Heroes. But I love Wasp. She's great. I adore that character. I wish she was in more. I wish she got to be a part of more. I wish she was given more to go off of. I wish she was given more space to grow. I wish she was given more stories to go through. I wish she was part of the team more. I wish any big piece of media using these characters would do something with her. Her relationship with Hank Pym is one of the most, not only important and impactful, but also one of the most interesting in comic history. There's a lot of back and forth, there's a lot of up and down, there's a lot of extreme negativity, there's a lot of trauma there. It is so very interesting, and barely anything uses it. Once again, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, haha, good show. But, they're the last time I can think of anything using that relationship in, an impactful way. Even though it's, probably the most impactful comic relationship, period. And yes, I'm putting them over Peter and MJ and over Clark and Lois. Because there's so much there. There's so much negativity there as well, and so much is built off of it, like Ultron, and it just keeps going. I don't know how she's not a bigger deal. I don't know how she's not a bigger deal. I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like she should be, and she isn't, and it frustrates me. Grr. Time to get into our first mutant of the day. Storm. I love her. She's so good. Let's talk about some power, huh? Storm has one of the most visually intriguing power sets in comics. To begin, her name is fucking Storm. Having that name and then casting lightning is pretty fucking cool. She, point blank, before we get into character and before we get into, relationships and blah, 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 visually speaking, she's a striking specimen. The suit, the fucking, lightning and thunder at all times, her needing to, physically restrain herself, her doing it, not, literal restraints, but, her having to hold herself back as to not demolish everything and everyone. Pretty fucking bad at the hair, fire. I love whenever she has the pure white eyes. Yeah, I'm a fan. I love her. She is. I would say for the most part, she's my favorite member of the X-Men. I love her. She is so intriguing. Her relationships are so dense. Like, there's so much there. There's so much to be said. There's so much, like, her relationship with T'Challa, for example, is so weird in a, like, enjoyable way. Like, in my head, when I'm thinking of, like, oh, who does Storm end up with? Who's who does Aurora, who's she like? Who's she with? You know? How does that happen? I don't think T'Challa. That's not like where my brain goes, but it's enjoyable to watch until it's not, because there's some baggage there. But like, it's an enjoyable thing. Having her relationships with, like, friends happen. Her weird, almost flip. I don't know how long I've been paused. I've been speaking. I don't know how long I've been paused, oh no. Lord. I don't have a way to check. Storm's really cool. Her relationship with T'Challa is really intriguing. Sometimes it goes pretty negative, but it's fun. I really like her relationship with Logan, especially the weird flip-flop that it does, where sometimes he is the mentor, sometimes she is the mentor, sometimes they are equals. I like her relationship with Scott Summers, especially whenever it is treated as if she is, like, leagues above him, and then it's shown that through him being so smart and being so strategic, they are back to being equals. I like that. I like her not sass, she's really confident, she's very, not full of herself, but sure of herself, and that's really intriguing. I think she's probably my favorite of the X-Men. I think she's very top tier. I feel like she's not used enough for who she is. I think the X-Men films had great casting. They just didn't do anything with the character, which is, whatever, man. I really wish I knew how long I was paused and what. I don't know how much of that you guys did or didn't hear. I'm sorry. That's really annoying. Okay, we're gonna move forward because I'm frustrated. Daredevil, baby. Matt Murdock. Let's just get it out of the way. His name is Daredevil. He has a cool suit. The tiny little horns. Matt Murdock, cool name. He's a lawyer. He's blind. And I think that's part of what's, like, so cool about him is the blind part. He's also, like, extremely religious, but he goes by Daredevil. That's really cool, and it leads to some really fun scenes. It leads to some really fun iconography. It leads to some really fun, like, visuals. It leads to some really fun dialogue. Big fan of Daredevil. Probably the best comic-based show, period. Really, really good stuff there. Tremendous casting. He's got very fun iconography between his weaponry and his logo and, like, the acrobatic way he moves. His backstory is really fun. The whole, like, his dad being this, like, failed boxer thing is really neat. I am a fan of Daredevil. I think Daredevil is the golden goose to me whenever it comes to, at least to Marvel, in the sense that when you ask people about, like, Daredevil runs, right, typically you're going to get positive stuff. And when you find a negative, right, with Daredevil, typically it is a negative for Daredevil, but it is so much above, it is so high above what other characters get, in the sense that, like, the worst Daredevil run is still significantly better than 80% of comic runs out there. Like, it is insane. how overwhelmingly positive the people who have written and drawn and illustrated and whatnot for this character have done. It is genuinely beyond me how well this character has been preserved. And people that work on Daredevil, like, care. People who work on Daredevil, people who do art for, who do the lettering for, who write for, whatever, they care so deeply about this character, and so very often is it visible in what they create, in the sense that the least good Daredevil comics that you can find are still pretty good. And then whenever you find the stuff that Daredevil fans are like, oh, that's pretty good, it's like some of the greatest shit you've ever seen. And then they point to you and they go, okay, well, here's like a great Daredevil run. And it blows your fucking, it kills you. You're done. Because it's so goddamn good. Daredevil is one of the most intriguing comic characters to me. Because of how impactful not only his religion is, or how impactful his disability is, but also how deeply ingrained he is with, like, genuine justice and not just an idea of it. Like, I'm trying to remember, I can't remember who wrote it. It might have been Chip Zdarsky, it might not have, I can't remember. I don't want to say it is in case it's not. But basically, Daredevil kills somebody, and he goes to prison, not as Matt Murdock, but specifically Daredevil goes to prison. And it's one of my favorite, it's probably my favorite Daredevil, right? It's so interesting to me. It's so very interesting how genuinely important justice and the law and whatnot is to that character. I love Daredevil. I think Daredevil, the show, is probably the best, it's probably the best live-action superhero thing. It's not my favorite thing. I don't know what is. I couldn't tell you off the dome. But I think, like, when it comes to measurable things that aren't, like, specifically my favorite, right? If you're going off of, like, baseline, like, oh, this thing's good, this thing's good, this thing. I feel like that show has, like, good everything, you know? Daredevil is so good. So good. Great character. Character I need to read more of. Love Daredevil. Love that character. And from this point forward, we're getting into my top 4. Very weird list, personal. I think it looks fucking weird. It's my list. I mean, I made it. They're my favorites, but they look weird. Hulk, baby. Number 4, I've got the Incredible Hulk. I've got Bruce Banner. I think Bruce is so fucking interesting. I think his backstory is really neat. Between like the big explosion, haha, you get powers now, Gamma, and his more personal backstory of the things with his father, the things with his mother, the things with mental health, the things with personality disorders and whatnot. All of that is so interesting. And then giving all of that to somebody who is a superhero is so fucking neat. It is so cool, and it is so artistic in a way. Hulk means a lot to me. That is a character that I adore. Growing up, I had some stuff happen to me that was not all too dissimilar from Bruce's life. But seeing that in a character that is so positively viewed kind of helped me understand that I wasn't alone. So that, like, matters to me. Bruce having a personality disorder is super fucking neat that that's in something that is so big and so viewed by so many people. Personally, I don't have a disorder in that sense, but it has to be really meaningful to somebody that does, to see a character that is so big and so loved having something similar to you or going through things similar to you. The Jekyll and Hyde situation in that in this character is so prevalent, and it's so impactful, and it's so important to what makes the character matter, and to what matters to the character, and to what the character does in a day-to-day, but also in the long term. I love Hulk. I think the two Hulk films are good. I like Mark Ruffalo's Hulk in the MCU. I just think he gets bitched real easy and doesn't get to do a lot. Hulk has it's a relationship with TV. He had one of the shows of all time that was a show, and then he had one of the cartoons of all time that was a show. Weird. But I love Hulk. I love Hulk's relationships with other heroes, whether it be his relationship back and forth with Ben Grimm, whether it be with Spider-Man, whether it be with his weird, almost respectful relationship to Captain America. I love his relationship as Bruce to Tony. I love the Hulk and Thor dynamic, the Hulk and Wolverine dynamic, Hulk and Juggernaut dynamic. I love Hulk's relationship with a lot of his villains, whether it be with General Ross / Red Hulk, or Abomination, or the intriguing brain versus brawn of the Leader. I am a big fan of Giant Green Guy. I like there being multiple other giant hulking figures, and then being that he has to, he is the apex of them. Excuse me. Oh my lord. My nose is really itchy and stuff today, and I don't know why my face is all itchy. My nose, my chin, my forehead, I'm all itchy. But Hulk is such a important character to me. You can't see it currently because it's on the other side of all of these comics. But I have what I believe to be the best Hulk run. Oh, if I can get it without knocking stuff over. This is a very heavy book. This book is so big. Immortal Hulk is really good. And it's also way more about the relationship between Bruce and Hulk than a lot of comics have been in recent time. Whew. Trying to knock all my little junk over. I'm back. But I love that book. That's probably that might be my favorite comic run. It's very good. But I love Hulk. I love the way it goes out, where you have your Maestro Hulk, you have current Hulk, you have Hulk with Savage Mind, you have smarter versions of Hulk, you have Joe Fixit, you have things like World War Hulk, you have Red Hulk, you have A-Bomb, you have Scar when it's not Hulk. There's She-Hulk, Red She-Hulk, and it just keeps going. And it's really intriguing. You also have really bad versions of Hulk. Ultimate. Who baby? Yeah. Old Man Logan and Baseline Ultimate are two very not cool characters. Let me tell you, those are not fun. Hulk is a very tragic character. Bruce Banner is a very tragic, sad story that is pretty fucked and typically goes to some really messed up places. Bruce tries to kill himself a few different times in comics and once in movies. That's a thing. he does that. He tries to kill himself, he tries to ostracize himself, he tries to do all these things as a way of either protecting people or making himself stop with whatever the hell it is going on in the moment. And it's very, very tragic, and it's very, very sad. And it leads to some real emotional turmoil, not only for Bruce, but for those around him. And not only him and those around him, but also it brings a lot of sadness to us as readers. I still remember the first time I saw that Bruce had Hawkeye kill him. I want to say that was Civil War. I don't remember for sure. I remember that run wasn't good. I just remember being flabbergasted when that happened. Which was kind of his way of killing himself. Pretty much suicide by cop, but not by a cop, by a task force member? I don't know what you would call him there. But it's really intriguing, and it's really impactful, and it's very, very tragic. It's a very fucked character, and a character with a lot of baggage. Our next character, I don't love for their emotions and for their baggage. Green Lantern. Specifically Guy Gardner, who is the silliest hero, period. He is the silliest little guy. He is a silly, silly little man. I love Guy Gardner. He is one of, if not the funniest characters in comics. I adore him. He is a character that is surprisingly deep and surprisingly has a lot of depth. I love Guy. He is probably my favorite. He just is my favorite DC character, I think. I love him. He is... It is so weird how much I like him, because I used to hate him when I was younger, because he was just an asshole. But he's a lovable asshole, you know? Guy is such a... He is such a complex character for what he presents himself as. You know, he's silly, he has a funny haircut, his name is literally Guy, he just makes jokes all day, but he cares so much. He cares so much, about so many. He just... Guy's relationships with people are so intriguing. Whether it be his relationship with other people in the Green Lantern Corps, or if it is his 2 stints as a Red Lantern, the second of which I believe to be the best Guy Gardner story. I love that New 52 Red Lantern run where he is sort of making the Red Lanterns into a thing for good. It's really, 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 really fucking good, and it's probably my favorite Green Lantern run, is that Red Lantern run. I love it so much. I think the goofy haircut is super impactful towards, like, saying something about, like, assuming stuff, because he's got this silly-ass haircut, and then he just has these moments of emotional depth that are so impactful to me. Whether it be his relationships with a Hal Jordan, or with a Supergirl, or if it's his relationship with Atrocitus, or his relationship with someone like Batman, which is really fun and really funny, and seeing Batman knock him out is really cool. But it's what those relationships actually are, and what they actually mean, and what time is actually spent on them, that is so intriguing to me. Guy Gardner's really funny, but he's also incredibly... I don't want to use the word smart, but he's incredibly resourceful. He's incredibly creative. He has a great sense of ingenuity, in a way. And that's part of what is so intriguing to that character for me personally, but it's also part of what sets him aside from the other Green Lanterns, any other Lanterns overall to me. I like him. I like him more than Jon Stewart, but I like him way, way more than Hal Jordan. I love Guy Gardner. I think Jon Stewart's great. I think if I were put in charge of making a Green Lantern's like movie or show, I'm definitely going with Jon Stewart. I think he's way safer, but also just better marketing wise than Guy, who is a piece of shit. But I love Guy Gardner so much. I think there's so much to be told through that character. I think there's so much more you can use him on. And we get scenes in comics. We haven't had anything in like any other media really. But like, Guy loves helping people. Guy is a good person. And Guy takes a lot of honor, in a way, whenever it comes to saving people and protecting people. Especially when it comes to taking care of and or saving children. Guy has like a deep sense of responsibility and a deep sense of honor and a deep sense of genuine care towards all of that. And that is fun to see from a character who is so nonchalant and so silly. And like, oh, he throws up a middle finger, or he excuse me, or he gets into a fight with fucking Batman, it gets knocked out, or whatever else it may be, right? Having a character that is so rebellious and so overwhelmingly, like, rambunctious is a term I'd use. Seeing a character that is so rambunctious, using all of that rambunctious, crazy energy in a way that helps is great, but then seeing them be able to tone it down a little and be safe for a child, or be helpful towards somebody who is being harmed, or towards a victim of any crime or whatever it may be, is really, really important for these characters, especially for a character like Green Lantern, who is literally a space cop, and taking a space cop and making it into someone that is like respectable and approachable and genuinely cares matters. Number 2, baby, is Wolverine. It's Laura Kinney. Logan's great. I love Logan. Logan's one of the most impactful characters in comic history. I love him so much. Blah, 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 blah. I like Laura way more than Logan. Do I have Logan comics over here on this shelf? No. You know what I do have? All new Wolverine. I need to get the 3rd. I love her. This is Wolverine. Let me jump to the back here real quick. These are Wolverine, not her. These. I just throwed my book. These are Wolverine, baby. Mimi, love Wolverine. Specifically Laura Kinney. She is great. She is the best. Mimi, love her. I love everything about her. I think her being a clone of Logan is so fucking cool. I think all of the lore behind why there's so many clones and what they were made for, super fun. I think her trying, not typically being able to pull it off, but trying to be non-lethal is super fucking cool. I think it is a super fun, like, thing to have a character who we've seen, like, I'm the best at what I do, and what I do is not pretty, or not kind, or not nice, or not good. Like, this is these characters who have been so entrenched in gore and hate and battle, and having the next generation of that trying so hardly to be good and be away from causing pain and away from causing death. It's very intriguing, it's very interesting, and it's used in a way that doesn't feel it doesn't feel like a PSA. It doesn't feel like it's meant to change your mind on some issue. It feels like it's genuinely what the character wants, and it feels like it's genuinely the next step for said character. And I think that's always been a really intriguing part of it. I think her relationship with Logan on its own is beautiful. I think her being used in the movie Logan and then Deadpool Wolverine, I think it's really fucking cool. I think she is one of, if not the best, like, she is the best, like, legacy, next gen version of a character. I mean, I have her on here instead of Logan. I love her. I love her, and I love her relationships. I love the world building. I love how meta that she is, in a way. I don't know where in that, but, like, she basically makes a joke that, like, oh, losers on the internet don't think that I'm Wolverine, which is, if you don't think Laura's Wolverine, fuck you. Because she is. It's on the book. It says so. And Miles Morales, he is Spider-Man. It says so on his books. So, Laura Kinney's Wolverine. And if you say otherwise, suck a raw egg. But yeah, I love Laura. She's great. I think I want media to use her more. I think next set of X-Men films should have her instead of Logan. Have Old Man Logan or some shit. I don't know. Do something that isn't Wolverine the movie 5. And don't make her like the main character of your X-Men movie. Let her be a part of a team. And that doesn't mean don't use her. That means don't make it her film. Have it be an X-Men movie. I love Laura. She's great. She's one of my favorite characters. She's number 2 on this list. I love her so much. She is filled with a sense of dread and a sense of responsibility and a sense of... what's the term? She's very much filled with a sense of... trying to think of the word here. She's filled with like a guilt in a way. Not only of what she's done, but of what Logan's done, of what the other clones have done. And she wants to fix all of that with as little violence as she can. And obviously, she doesn't always succeed at that small amount of violence thing, right? But she tries. And that's sort of what matters. And I think that's probably the most interesting part of Laura is she is specifically bred to be the super weapon. And then she chooses not to kill people. And I think it's super, super intriguing. I think it's super, super fun. And I would like to see what more writers can do with that. I would like to see what actors can do with that. I would like to see what can be done with that character, because I think only the surface has been scratched. She hasn't been around for that long. She's been around for, 20 years? She's had some comics, and I like them. But I would like to see her done well in a show, or a cartoon, or a movie, or something. I love her. And then, number 1, God, there's probably 40 videos of Spider-Man on the show. We already know who number 1 is. Come on, guys. Come on. It's Spider-Man. We already knew that, though. Right there, that's a Spider-Man. How many plushies over there, Spider-Man? I don't know, like 3 of them. Top of that window. You know what all those Lego figures are up there that you can't see because of the light? Spider-Man. You know what my girlfriend tells people whenever, family or friends or whatever, hey, what do I do for Finn for Christmas? You know what my girlfriend says? Spider-Man. Hey, Spider-Man. Spider-Man's my favorite character, period. Not comic, not Marvel, not the book. Period. He is my favorite thing. I love Spider-Man. I have loved Spider-Man since before I had memories. I have seen the movies probably at the very least 100 times individually. I have watched Spectacular Spider-Man probably 4 times since I was like 17. That's 3 years. I watched it 4 or 5 times before that. Specifically, I had the DVD of Volume 1 and 3. I didn't have Volume 2. But I watched those until the discs didn't work. I didn't like it, but I watched all of Ultimate Spider-Man probably twice. I've watched the 90s Spider-Man 2 or 3 times. I watched the MTV Spider-Man, I think, 4 times. What else? The 2017 Spider-Man I've seen once. I will never watch it again. I don't care. It is bad. My favorite game of all time, PS4 Spider-Man. My favorite film of all time, Across the Spider-Verse. My favorite cartoon, probably Spectacular Spider-Man. It might not be. My favorite cartoon might be Adventure Time. But it's either Adventure Time or Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. You know what I do when I sit on the toilet? I look at Spider-Man stuff on Pinterest or Reddit or whatever it may be. When I'm bored, I'm reading about Spider-Man. I'm reading about production stuff on one of the films or catching up on one of the Spider-Man actors. You know how often I look at Josh Keaton projects for no reason? I want to do a thing much later than now. I don't have the capacities for it, but I would like to 100% just a shitload of Spider-Man games and record that. I think that'd be fun. You know why I want to do that? Because I love fucking Spider-Man. I think I have spent more hours on Spider-Man stuff, whether it be a movie or a show or a game or a comic or drawing it as a little kid or whatever. I think I've spent more hours on Spider-Man than I have anything else, period. Just point blank. I think the only things I've done more than Spider-Man are sleep and school. And I don't do one of those anymore. Spider-Man is my favorite character in anything ever. I love Spider-Man. I could sit here and yap for the next hour about only Spider-Man. I had to limit myself to one character per name, because if I could have gone Spider-Man, Gwen would not be in this. She's bad. In the Spider-Verse movie, she's really good. She's a terrible comic character. Just really boring. But Miles would have been in here. Miguel would have been in here. Ben Reilly would have been in here. Noir Spider-Man would have been in here. Dude, half the list would just be Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man so much. I love Spider-Man. You know what I'm gonna do when I end this recording? I'm gonna go on that bed over there. I'm gonna cuddle up into that corner with those blankets and those Spider-Man plushies, which I don't know if are visible. They very much are not. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna turn my TV on and I'm gonna watch something to do with Spider-Man. That's what's gonna happen. I love Spider-Man. And I could sit here and yap for the next hour, but I'm gonna save you time, me time, and not make this video 2 hours. And if instead you would like to see me yap about Spider-Man, there will be a card on the left or the right. I don't know which one yet, because I don't know if this will be mirrored. One of these will be a playlist. It'll have a bunch of Spider-Man stuff in it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time, for your support, for your likes, your comments, your subs, all that. Stay safe out there. If you want to yap with me or like-minded folks, there's a description and there's a link in the description to the Discord. Thank you guys again so much for your time. I love you, and bye-bye.